The night the city decided to test him, the billionaire CEO was already tired of being rich. Rain stitched silver lines across the windshield as the car slowed at a red light on Mercer Street. Inside, Daniel Hart, tech founder, boardroom shark, cover story name, loosened his tie and watched the blur of storefronts. He had left the charity gala early, the applause still ringing hollow in his ears. Outside the hotel doors, a waiter had jogged toward him with an umbrella, apologizing for the rain as if it were his fault. Daniel barely noticed. He slid into the back seat and told the driver to take the long way home. The light turned green. The car didn't move. 4 men stepped out from between parked vans, their shapes thickened by hoodies and shadows. One knocked on the hood with his knuckles, slow and deliberate. Another circled to the passenger side, eyes fixed on the rear door. A third lifted a phone, filming. The fourth smiled. Daniel's pulse jumped. He reached for his phone and froze. The driver hadn't flinched. "Seatbelt, sir," the driver said quietly. Daniel looked up. The driver, who had been introduced as a temporary replacement from the hotel staff, had the same waiter's face from the doorway. Dark eyes steady, hands relaxed on the wheel. The knock came again, harder. "Seatbelt," the driver repeated. Daniel clicked it on. What happened next unfolded with the strange clarity of a memory that refuses to blur. The driver flicked the headlights to high beam. The sudden white glare startled the men long enough for the engine to purr forward, not fast, not panicked, just enough to make the man at the hood step back. The driver's left hand rolled the window down an inch. "Evening, gentlemen," he said, voice calm. "You're standing in traffic." A laugh. A fist slammed the glass. Daniel's breath came shallow. He had imagined danger before. Hostile takeovers, courtroom ambushes, but not this. Not the closeness of it. The smell of rain and asphalt. The weight of 4 strangers. Attention. The driver's eyes flicked to the mirrors. Then he did something Daniel wouldn't understand until later. He turned the wheel slightly and let the car drift just enough to open space. Not an escape, an invitation. One man lunged for the handle. The driver braked. Not hard. Then rolled forward again, controlled, precise. The man stumbled. The phone clattered to the ground. The one filming cursed. "Sir," the driver said, not looking back, "when I say duck, please duck." "Duck," Daniel echoed, ridiculous and terrified. "Now." The driver snapped the wheel, not to hit anyone, but to pivot the car into a gap Daniel hadn't seen. The side mirror kissed a trash bin. The car slid past the vans by inches. A hand slapped the trunk. Then they were through, tires hissing on wet pavement, city lights swallowing the men whole. Daniel's chest burned. He laughed once, sharp and disbelieving, then pressed his palm to the seat. You were a waiter," he said. The driver breathed out slowly and merged into traffic. "Yes, sir." Silence stretched, filled only by the rain. The driver didn't speed. He didn't celebrate. He drove like someone finishing a long shift. At the next light, the driver's phone buzzed in the cup holder. He ignored it. "Where did you learn that?" Daniel asked. The driver considered. "Which part?" "All of it." The light changed. The car moved. "Life," the driver said. Then, after a moment, "and training." They took side streets. When they reached a quieter avenue, the driver pulled over beneath a street lamp and turned off the engine. Daniel's heart lurched. Is something wrong? The driver unbuckled and turned around, meeting Daniel's eyes fully for the first time. Up close, there were lines at the corners of his eyes, the kind carved by patience. "I need to check you," he said. "Shock can hide things." "I'm fine." "I know," the driver said gently. "Humor me." Daniel nodded. The driver checked his pupils, his pulse, asked him to breathe. His hands were sure and respectful. When he finished, he handed Daniel a bottle of water. "Thank you," Daniel said, voice hoarse. "What's your name?" "Marcus." Daniel repeated it, anchoring himself. "Marcus, you saved my life." Marcus smiled faintly, like someone hearing a familiar sentence. "I did my job. You weren't hired to. I was hired to get you home." They resumed driving. A few blocks later, sirens wailed behind them. Marcus pulled over again. 2 patrol cars stopped. Officers approached, cautious but controlled. Marcus rolled the window down. "Evening." They spoke briefly. The officers glanced at Daniel, then at the rain-slick street. One nodded. Another jotted something down. The patrol cars pulled away. Daniel exhaled. "How did you know what to say?" he asked. Marcus shrugged. "Listening helps." They reached Daniel's building, a clean tower of glass and steel. Marcus parked and stepped out to open the door. The doorman stared, eyes wide, then recovered. Inside the lobby, warmth and marble swallowed the night. Daniel turned back. "Please," he said, hand outstretched. "Come up. I need to." Marcus shook his head. "Another time. At least let me." Marcus hesitated, then nodded once. They rode the elevator together in reflective silence. In Daniel's apartment, the city spread out like a map of light. Daniel poured 2 glasses of water with shaking hands. "I didn't even see them coming," he said. "I thought money made things predictable." Marcus leaned against the counter, posture easy. "It changes the kind of surprises you get." Daniel studied him. "You said training." Marcus looked out at the city. "Former emergency responder. Defensive driving. De-escalation. I left after a while." "Why waiting tables?" "Because people," Marcus said. "Hungry people are honest." Daniel laughed softly. Then he stopped. "Those men." "Why?" Marcus didn't answer right away. "Opportunity," he said finally. "Sometimes it wears a hoodie. Sometimes a suit." Daniel swallowed. "I barely noticed you when you handed me that umbrella." Marcus met his gaze. "I noticed you were shaking." "I wasn't." "You were," Marcus said, not unkindly. "Just in a different way." The rain eased outside. Daniel felt something loosen in his chest, something he hadn't known was tight. "I want to do something," he said. "For you." Marcus smiled again, the faint one. "You already did." "I did." "You listened." They stood there, the city humming, 2 men from different ladders sharing the same rung for a moment. A knock came at the door. Security. A report to file. Names to give. As they walked back down, the doorman nodded at Marcus with a new respect. In the garage, Marcus handed Daniel his coat. "Tomorrow," Daniel said. "Dinner. Not a gala. Just food." Marcus paused. "I get off at 10. "Perfect." Daniel watched Marcus drive away, taillights fading into the night that had almost taken him. He stood there longer than necessary, rain-cool air brushing his face, thinking of umbrellas and listening, of steady hands and quiet courage. Above him, the city kept moving. And somewhere between the lights and the rain, a different kind of wealth had found its way home.